Urban, with the understanding that the quarterback is the product of those around him, this is a pretty big game.
Very good.
For JT. Note that, Jerry. This is a big game for JT. Is it fair to him to say it's the biggest game of his career?
No, I don't know. No, I don't think it's fair to say that. It's a very big game. I don't think players look at it that way. I think they're preparing for a very good team, and there's games after this one, so I don't think athletes look at it that way. I know coaches don't.
Do you ever have to like make it more important to the player or less important, like to the quarterback? Do you ever have to adjust how they're viewing a big game?
No, I hate to disappoint you. There's not much conversation about that. It's all about, you're facing a team that's 40% pressure, and so it's all about recognizing the pressure in this formation. Where's the free safety? And, we just don't have conversations about that.
Front row left, Bill. Urban, we've asked you a lot about J.K. Dobbins this year. I'm wondering, his jump cut or his lateral quickness, whatever you want to call it, seems to be at a very high level. Do you recall the first time you saw that, what you thought, and then maybe could you put that in context a little bit? Yeah,
it was a little bit unknown because it was, if you remember, he missed his senior year, so we didn't know what we were dealing with. And then he was a little bit slow, like typical freshman in spring practice, but then August training camp, you really started to see what some of those, and lateral movement jump cut's the correct term, and that's the great running back. Zeke has an incredible jump cut, and that's to be able to go full speed in the lateral movement, and that's zone team, zone runners, which Mike Weber's very good at it too. Those are things we look for in a recruiting guy.
And Barkley obviously does that too, and I know he's a 3-year player and complete all-purpose back, and J.K. is a freshman, but do you see any similarities between Barkley and J.K.?
Sure. I think the one thing that makes Barkley so good, obviously great running back, great vision, great speed, strength, but his ability to catch the ball, and J.K. is very good with his hands. He seems to be, I could use him in return game as well. We don't because we have Paris, but he's got a skill set that can do a lot of things.
Middle row, or fourth row middle, Andrew.
When Oregon started wearing alternate uniforms back in like 2013, it gave them like a clear recruiting advantage, but now everybody seems to be wearing them, everybody except for maybe Alabama. Do you feel that it still gives you guys like an advantage, or is it attractive to recruits, or does it really not matter anymore?
I don't know. I think players I know we wore black that one year, and I see recruits, and I still keep one in my office, and I think it's appealing to recruits.
Front row right, Austin.
To follow up on that, Urban, I mean, have your opinions changed on them at all over the years? It seemed like initially you were really hesitant to put on any alternate uniforms, but now it's become a staple. I wonder if you like any of them, or you've changed your tone on it at all.
I don't care. I think, I don't. I'm an Ohio State fan since I could stand up. So I love the scarlet and gray. I do. I think every once in a while it looks pretty cool out there and see some of those helmets. I've got saved ones we won, and I think it's I'm glad the fans appreciate it. I think they have. At first, I think there's some resistance, because we are a very traditional school. But recruiting a lot of times is very important, and I know the recruits like them.
Where do you remember that JT kind of built some of his legacy in 14 with the people talk about the Michigan State game, but when he played Penn State, his knee was banged up late in that game. Do you think back on that one as a turning point at all for his career or anything like that?
Sure, that was his. As far as respect to the head coach and everyone else, that was the ultimate. I've never seen many players do what he did in that game, and I still remember to that whiteout, the student body going down. They were down by 7, second overtime, and it was awesome. So yeah, that'll be part of his legacy.
All right, Clay.
How often do you take? I guess you take the pulse of the team hourly, daily. You like where they're at right now?
I do. It's a Wednesday, so we actually went spiders today. I like where we're at. We're not finished. We're not finished preparing. It's a very good team we're playing, so we're going to use every ounce of preparation we can.
How do you, if you see pressure, how do you relieve it among
the players,
coaches, even yourself?
Yeah, I think that's later in the week. This Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is all about preparation, and we have some veteran guys. Last year was a very new team, so I didn't know how a lot of them are going to react. This year, I think, I like when we get together at the hotel and it's just us. We always worry about outside distractions and big games like this. I felt it at Oklahoma. who's coming, who's not coming, and all that. So I think we're more experienced now than we were in game 2.
Not a different approach, though. Just
Yeah, I think it is. You know, I could say to you, sure, it's different approach. I think everybody has a different mindset right now. There's not going to have to be a whole lot of cheerleading going on. It's just about execution.
Far left, Mitch.
The football fan in you, is it fun to watch two quarterbacks who are playing really, really well go up against each other?
Fun?
Yeah.
You guys asked that fun question. And only fun is I look up at the scoreboard in the 4th quarter and we're up. That's it.
Far left, Lori.
Coach, it's clear from what you told Tony that it's not necessarily front of mind maybe, but your best players, do you see something different from them during a big week?
Absolutely.
Or is it the thing that makes them great that they never change?
Well, yeah, the best players, and I've made that comment to our team, the best players play their best. You heard that, you know, that's one of those old adages that you hear players say, you hear coaches say, that's absolutely the truth. You know, you're a bully if you beat up on the guys that, you know, you're better than, and you're a great player if you play your best in those games. And you think back to, there's been some great examples of that around here. You know, on that 14 team, my goodness, did they play their best in the big games. 15 they did for the most part other than the one game, and then last year was not so much at the end of the season. You know, we did against our rival when we had to, but yeah, absolutely, that's an absolute truth what you just said.
So on this roster, who is it that stands out in your mind as having that clutch gene?
We're going to find out more tomorrow, but we've had, you know, JT's one, and then you got some D linemen, Hubbard, and those guys play their best games, you know, against the most recent ones. I'm trying to think the team up north a year ago. You know, my gosh, did that defense play. And Tyquan Lewis and some of those guys.
Front row right, Tim.
Urban, what does it do for an offense so when you've got tight ends like Gesicki on one side and you've got Rashad Berry really emerging, it looks like right now, downfield, Marcus Ball also. What does it do for an offense when you have that kind of threat from that position?
Especially the size advantage that, you know, there's not many safeties or corners that have, you know, Gesicki's got very good size and Marcus Ball's got very good size and speed, and he's using it, you know, I made the comment he's kind of a, you know, a little bit of underachiever using that as ability, but he's been really playing well the last few weeks. So, and Rashad Berry's got freakish size and speed. So it's just the obvious advantage, size advantage, and a leverage advantage.
To be a complete offense in this day and age, do you have to have that kind of player on your
I think
team
you do.
when
I think
look
we
around?
do. We, you know, the Curtis Samuel, the Paris Campbell, the ability of a tight end to do other things he blocks, and then I think so. In this offense, we're always looking for them. Not many of them out there, though.
And one other thing, anybody this week develop any maladies, any injuries, anything like that?
We're good to go.
Front row left, Doug.
Urban, you mentioned the pressure Penn State likes to bring. How equipped is your offense to deal with that, to deal with the blitz, to handle the line, JT, all that?
I mean, it's taken a lot of work because they'll show one come from the other. They're very good at holding their disguises, and, you know, someone's asking a question about big games, and we're trying to figure out, you know, usually the secondary helps you. This team's pretty good at holding it. So that's one of their strengths, is be able to hold their, not showing it before they bring it. And it's 40% pressure.
And JT, I mean, in those moments, how good, it's hard, but how good is JT at diagnosing?
He's at times been great, other times not as great. That's the challenge of Coach Day, and that's what they do all day long.
And we've talked about the kickoffs all year. You've talked about it. The best player in college football is back there catching it for them. How do you feel? Where are you with your kickoff unit right now?
I like our personnel. We've worked very hard at the actual kicking part of it. We've made some adjustments, and feel very good.
Last
Is Worley good to go? He played a little bit last week, but is he
Clear to go, yeah.
clear to go?
Last two questions. Second row left, Ari.
Urban, when you look at just in the name of everybody in the offense has an equal share in how well they play, when you look at the film over the course of the past month, can you put into context how different this offense looks as a whole to you? I mean, is there a clear difference when you, I don't even know if you go back and watch the Oklahoma game or anymore, but like in the last 5 weeks, do you see a clear difference in?
I do. You know, once again, I keep using the term realistic. You know, you're facing number one defense in America, so it's going to be a little different than playing some of the other teams we just played. You know, but this is a real one. But to answer your question, we're very balanced right now, and JT's throwing a very efficient clip, and his timing with the receivers is very good. You know, losing Brandon Bowen was a little bit of a thump to us, but Demetrius Knox went and played well. I think that, you know, these kind of games, you know, again, it's going to have to be somewhat methodical. And that means, because teams don't, you don't usually get the big hits that we've been getting. So you got to be very methodical and move the ball down the field.
I think one of the major goals that this team always has is to be playing their best football come November. This is the end of the month. I mean, do you think that the progression of this team offensively has been at an accelerated rate? I mean, can you just speak about the way Coach Wilson and Coach Day have kind of helped the evolution of this team?
Sure. I think they've made us better. I think there's very good communication regardless of, systemic changes that we made to the offense. It takes a minute to get a grasp on, because we don't, we're not changing terminology. They have to learn it. I thought they've done a good job, so it's very comfortable. They sit in those meetings and they understand everything now.
And final question, Bill?
You mentioned Marcus Ball. What do you think is the cause of his change that he has kind of gotten with the program?
That'd be a good question to ask him. He's never not been. He's so talented, and he's just. But there's been others. Curtis Grant would be the ultimate story to say, Curtis, what was that? And there are young people that grow up. There's, whatever the motivation is to leave a legacy here, to get drafted, which is all fine. Whatever it is, use it, and that'd be something to ask him. I think he's taking pride in what he's doing, in my opinion.
And you've got the number 2 and number 6 teams. It's late November. Most of the time, people have a pretty good idea of who these teams are. Penn State hasn't played an offense like you have. You've gone through a stretch where you've played opponents that you're clearly better than. In your mind, how much of a mystery is this game? How curious are you to see just how good you are?
On third down, I just, once again, I'm not being a jerk. I'm just, we don't even think about things like that. It's all focus is on execution against a team that's all over the place on defense. And so I think there are great storylines, and someday when you look back, say, man, that was really cool. We're not there yet. I think Friday sometimes, because it's the haze in the barn, so to speak, you're kind of, now it's more about motivation, but right now it's the pinpoint focus on execution is what it is, and you don't even think about stuff like that.
Do you feel a lot better about your team now than versus before you played Oklahoma?
I think a lot better, yeah. I think, we were somewhat a veteran team, but you also were playing a lot of new guys that never played before, and it's surfaced at times. Thank you.